Vulnerability fosters good emotions and mental health. Vulnerability also is a sign of courage. We become more resilient and brave when we embrace who we truly are and what we are feeling. The Vulnerable Scientist podcast is a space for scientists who are honest and authentic or are working towards it. Join the vulnerable space by either sending an audio using the link on the show notes talking about your highs and lows as a scientist, or by contacting Sarah Nyakeri, aka New Biochemist, to schedule a chat. The Vulnerable Scientist podcast benefits both the listener and the one sharing. You can now rate this podcast on Spotify or put a review on Apple Podcasts or any other listening platform with a rating button. And to share your thoughts, feel free to send an audio message using the audio link, either using your name or anonymously, to be published on the following episodes of the Vulnerable Scientist podcasts. Are you wondering what I use to upload and store my website spaces? Host Pinnacle. I've been using it for over 2 years right now and it has never disappointed me. So host your website today using Host Pinnacle, cheap and affordable and reliable services. To start experiencing Host Pinnacle goodness, click on the link on the show notes and you will not regret your decision. That's interesting. So, just to get a feel, so how long has it taken? No, you're in high school, you were thinking about biotech, then at some point you're thinking about being a lecturer.
Yes.
So, how long has it taken you from BSc to actually securing a PhD?
Okay, so for me that's been 5 years. Yeah, it's been 5 years.
Do you still want to go to be a lecturer?
At the end of the day, I think the most fulfilling part along this path has been to be able to mentor students, because students come for internships and attachments at my workplace. And it's quite interesting to see like there's some impact that you're creating in their lives, you know. One interesting thing, especially when it comes to, I don't know whether that happens to all the government institutions, but at our place there was a slight, age difference. So we were the youngsters, but we're not so many of us. So, if guys were able to come from campus and they see that, okay, these are guys we can relate, we can talk, we can, understand each other, it's easier for me to reach them, because I'm speaking from a perspective of fresh experience. So we can sit down and talk about, okay, what are you experiencing? What do you want to do after this? Do you have a plan? Like, are you thinking about trying this? You should equip yourself with these kinds of skills if you want to be, maybe marketable, or you want to advance your studies. So it's easier. And I've seen a few along, or rather through these years, change their thinking. They've gone back to school to pursue MSCs, and I think that's one of the highlights, And still, I feel like that's what I really need to be doing at the end of the day. I need to be able to change someone's life, be able to see if I can be able to change the community through that person, because that gives me some certain of fulfillment.
Interesting. So, what happened to the Buddha Buddha business? I'm curious.
So that ended there, because see, that is I don't know how to even call it. It's like, so you're the business. If you don't keep doing it, then it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's so hard for, to say that I'll ask someone to keep doing whatever I've been doing. It was impossible. I linked those clients to some of my friends, but you see, it didn't turn out because they were not able to keep up with what I was able to do at that point. Yeah, so for me, that stopped right there. But today I look back and I meet these guys, and I know their struggles. I understand what they go through. I know, their highs and their lows. So it gives an appreciation. So it's also something. It's a lesson. It's a journey. We learn so many things along the way.
It's quite interesting to know that you weren't looking for a PhD. Most people are actually looking for PhDs, but you weren't looking. Then you just see this one and you're like, this is what I want, and you go for it and you get it. That's a very unique story.
It was quite weird, actually. It was the only PhD position I've ever applied for.
Yeah. Wow.
The one, and like those moments, like it's a magic bullet,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was the chance I needed, and thank God it came through. So here I am today, waiting for the next chapter. Yeah, to see what comes out of all this.
So, after you finished your BSc, were there other people? For the 4 months, you said for the 4 months you weren't doing anything really.
Yes.
So were there other people from your class who were doing something?
We had one of our colleagues who got a teaching assistant position.
BSc?
Yeah, for at least, yes, at BSc level. So she was offered a scholarship for MSc level. So that came with the package that you will be a teaching assistant.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for us, I think we had this. I would say it was really an influential group. We influenced each other. So 4 of us went back to do our MScs at that point. So,
and what happened to the 3 after the MSc?
So after the, actually, funny thing now, I think there's one thing that I've really not talked about, and is the struggle for MSc students to graduate, and probably maybe coupled to the PhD positions too,
Yeah.
It really took a long time, and the most weird part is they're still pursuing their MSc. They have not graduated. They have not completed their projects for one reason or another. And that really is a big problem. That's a big challenge, because so many give up along the way, and they're like, okay, I'd rather do something else, because I've invested a lot of time and money, and still there's nothing to show for it, So
is it a funding problem?
Not really funding problem. I think for me it's more about the internal process. So the university internal processes sometimes can be cumbersome. Because it took me 4 years to complete my MSc, which I should do it in 3 years. Oh, sorry, 2 years or 3 maximum if you have, maybe some situations in between. But in this case, it took 4 years for me to graduate.
For you had funding, right?
Everything was done, and actually I'd done everything within the 2 years period. The normal period, that is the first year coursework, the second year project, and then after that you should be working on clearing and graduating. So I had done everything. I had done all the minimum requirements for me to graduate, but now the internal process became a problem, because today you go, you want to start a process, and then it's like every time you go, something new comes up. It's like every time the goalpost is being shifted. And then you realize you're out there, you also have other things to do, so you can't even follow up all these things consistently. So every time you take a 2-month break and come back, you find something new has been introduced. You've done all your progress presentations, and then you realize, you still need one more presentation. You go ahead and do it. After that, you hear like, oh no, we still need one progress report. You go ahead and do it again. So every time you go back, something new comes up, and that's quite a challenge because I've seen my friends give up, in the midst of all that confusion. So that is one big problem.
Why did you follow up? What was pushing you for those 2 more years? What was pushing you to graduate?
My dream. I still wanted to finish up or look for a teaching assistant position because that was the initial dream. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is the only thing that will rescue me. If I don't do it, then I'll have lost the money that I worked so hard to earn and the time that I've spent doing it.
Wait, after your MSc, weren't you applying for the teaching assistant positions?
No, I didn't.
Why?
At that point, I felt it wasn't enough for me to go and teach someone something.
Oh.
You know something, yes, but you don't know quite much. So I need to go back, like go slightly deeper and learn something so that if I'm able to go talk to someone, I'll say something about whatever I want to teach them. Yeah. So my goal was like, let me go do some research, read more, get some knowledge, and then come back and do what I want to do.
What happened to the rest of the guys from your BC class?
Well, funny thing, everybody was scattered. We were scattered in all directions.
Is there anyone who is in research or something related to science?
We still have one in academia, but the rest are doing things that are not related to what they went to school for. Other like business, actually majority in business, other in the corporate world. Like things changed really so much.
Have you ever thought of going into business in addition to what you're doing?
I mean, business is always there because I think during the time when I was in the boda industry, that kind of put me in the whole mix. So it's quite difficult for me to shake it off because at the end of the day, I have traded and I understand some basic principles about trade. And that also influences some of the things that I plan to do and want to do in the future. But of course, business is part and parcel of the whole thing. And I think that is partly also influenced by the fact that we know the science world doesn't really pay much.
Yeah.
It's mostly driven by passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you want the money, then I don't think science is one
not
of those
for you.
places you want to stick around. Yeah, because that will probably never get where you want to get to.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
So in essence, it was a good thing for you to at least have that break. Yes, it wasn't a good thing really for you, but it was a good thing in a certain way to see the other side of the world.
So I think it's weird, but sometimes there's a higher power that is in control of so many things. Because if I go backwards and think about the decisions that I made, the time I was buying that motorbike, its intention was not to do business with. It was for my personal use. Little did I know that 2 years after, that would be the one tool that would rescue me. So I sit down and look at all these things and how they've unfolded, and I'm like, I think all these things probably were meant to be somehow. I just had no control over so many things that were happening, but they have led me to where I am today. They have shaped me to the person that I am now. And most of the time we have no control over what happens tomorrow, but we still live, with the hope that tomorrow is going to be a better day. Things are going to get better.
How did you feel when you got that position, the PhD position?
This is exciting. For one of my greatest support system has always been my mom. she didn't go to school. Those old days where she's around maybe 70 years now.
Wow.
So you can imagine those days they didn't have the privilege to go to school. But
especially women.
Yes, exactly. There's one thing she kept saying, like, I never got a chance to go to school. So you go and read everything that is there for you to read. Go achieve all those milestones that need to be achieved as far as academics are concerned. So for me, it will come at a better time and place because I'm here getting the highest level, Yes, so it's truly a blessing, and I don't know. There's so many things tied to it. There's the will and the wish to become better, to grow in that line. And of course, you understand back home, one of the struggles is always to climb up the ladder, So sometimes you feel people don't listen to others, and especially I think in the science world, if certain titles are not attached to your name. I don't know whether you noticed that or you heard people saying those things.
I've heard that of
yes.
As in, not even me, like people just say that. For me, I wanted to do, for some people actually, they want to do maybe a PhD because there's something they really want to do, but they can't do because no one can listen to them without that DR in front of their name.
Yes, exactly. So that is also in some ways the reason why I am here today, because you want to make a difference, yes, but you're being outmuscled. And you're not being outmuscled in terms of your knowledge or your experience. You're being outmuscled by the mere title. So you'll be somewhere you want to contribute positively toward the development of things, but the impact can't be felt because simply it should come from someone else, not you probably. Yeah. Yes. And part of that reason is because the project that got funded, I approached a particular colleague and I shared the concept with them. And they just I know the people who are quite funny. So they stayed with that whole idea for almost 2 weeks and never responded. And then after approaching them, like, okay, so what do you think about that? And I'm like, no, this thing, I don't know, we tried to do it somewhere, but I don't think it can be possible, So the beauty is I didn't stop there. I still went ahead and did the whole thing as I thought earlier. And you see, if I stopped because of someone watering it down, then that would have been the end of me probably. Yeah, so we meet people along the way, they help us. Others will always be there to step on you, discourage you. But I think mostly you need to follow your heart, you need to listen to that organ, Yeah, dance to it, rhythm probably, and things will just work out somehow.
It's so refreshing to hear someone talk about science so passionately.
Yeah. I try. Yeah.
So what are your future plans? If you have,
well,
I don't know.
I think right now it's quite mixed up. I'm in a strange land. There's so many things that I need to learn just to be able to survive in this place first before I can even be able to figure out the next 3 years to begin with. But of course, the bigger picture is to be able to get the PhD and go back home and make a difference. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, the most important thing for me is to figure out how to make this complicated science simple enough for other people to understand. But I don't know whether you go through the same problem. I go back home and folks ask me, what do you do? And I don't know how to explain it. You know?
How many people in your family, let me ask you a personal question. How many people in your family know actually what you do? Family, not just friends, family.
No, to be honest, I think it's just my wife who understands what I do. Because she's
from
science.
So if
a science person.
So if she was not a science person, do you think she would have understood what you do? Will you have been able to? Mm-hmm.
I think probably maybe along the way they would have to understand it, because maybe you keep saying it over and over until it makes sense to them. But most of the time people don't really understand, because it's so hard to go explain what DNA is in your local language. Because that's not what they see. But you try and explain, like, whatever is happening in your genetic makeup is influencing what can be seen. And that is not easy to do. It's quite difficult, to be honest. Yeah, so I think for me, at the end of the day, I really want to be able to do that. I want to be able to explain the metagenomics and the metabarcoding
to a
way that a layman can understand and can be able to appreciate what we do. Because at the end of the day, you see, it just sounds fancy, yes, but it doesn't matter if nobody else understands it.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point you're making there. Yeah. Like, your science wouldn't make sense to the community if they actually don't understand what you're doing actually is helping them.
Yes.
And how it's helping them. And even when you develop a technology, no one really, it's hard to adapt to it because it sounds foreign, yet it's something they actually need. And if you can't communicate that in the simplest terms, then I don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, so as much as you want to publish big papers and all that and make those milestones, but at the end of the day, if you can't be able to communicate this in the simplest way possible to someone who doesn't understand genetics, then for me, I feel I would have not achieved the thing that I want to achieve in life.
Okay. So, yes. Is there another law that you experienced?
I think as the laws for me, those were the ones, like, the time it took to get to where I think I needed to. And then the other thing is, I think in our systems we don't have mentors. We don't have people to guide us, to show us the way. So everything is self-taught. Partially, I think it's driven by, I don't know, this competitiveness of things, but I don't really understand. Yeah, because we don't have a system where I would say, if I come back to Kenya as a molecular biologist or as a biotechnologist, I have people to show me the way, to guide me through the ropes so that I become better. Not just better than them, but better as a scientist.
Yeah, as better than you are right now, like better for you, not to compete with everyone else.
Exactly. I think that's the problem, because I think mostly people look at it as competing with them, and that kind of kills the team effort. So you kind of have to figure things on your own all the time. So that really
such lonely
wastes a lot of time, and it makes science a very lonely journey, in my opinion. Because I need to be able to connect to different people. So if I'm not good at bioinformatics, who can I get to help me, like teach me some basic coding or how to use a few things in there, so that I can be able to contribute to something. But now this forces you to become a jack of all trades. You know the biology, you still know part of the coding, you still know part of the statistics and mathematics and all that. and I think that's actually the best way to go, because if we're able to support each other, we're able to go and make breakthrough discoveries or contributions to science, as opposed to you learning all those things at once. Yeah, so I think those are some of the things that I've really felt like they pull of the weight down on me. But generally, that's my story. That's my story.
Is there another high that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah. I think for me, those are quite it. Getting that opportunity to go into research is probably one of the best things that have ever happened. And then along it now, these other things came. Yeah, because for me, I can't take it for granted that I had that chance out of I don't know how many millions of young Kenyans.
Biotech graduates.
Yes.
Just biotech. Just talk about biotech.
Yeah, and you can imagine also biochemists that have applied. It's a lot, honestly. Yeah, it's a lot. And I understand because I've been there.
Have you ever felt, talking about that, being given the opportunity that a lot of people wanted the same opportunity, have you ever felt that maybe now you're in and you're trying to figure these things out, especially the marine side of things, have you ever felt that maybe you're not like fit enough on that? Like, have you ever felt like I don't think I was the best person for this position, maybe someone else could have done it better?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think for me, I've always been, or I am the kind of people who, I think I believe in myself a lot. Yes, I don't believe that you will throw a ball and I drop it. I will hold it still. So that has always been the reason why I wake up every morning and try and become better, give it everything that I have to be able to advance. So in a normal setting, I've really made a lot of milestones, in my own way. Yeah, because sometimes you have to sit back and imagine what other people in the situations are going through and what they've been able to do, and then that's when you realize, like, honestly, I have been privileged. But at the end of the day, it's not just about the luck alone. There's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, that's the most important bit. You have to give it. You have to keep doing, because I can sit here and talk about things, but if I don't do them, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I try as much as possible to have that side of my life, the low moments, as a reminder that I need to do better, so that I may be able to create an opportunity for someone else.
When I'm talking to women, they usually talk about the aspect of family, and
Yes.
especially when they get opportunities outside or away from their family. Are you still there? Okay, clearly lost you.
Hello.
Yeah, potato or something. It's okay. I was saying, when I talk to women, I don't know if it's the same for men. It's just out of curiosity. I've never had a conversation with them. Okay, I've had one, and he said that it was difficult for them being away from family. But I'm just wondering, is it the same for you when it comes to? I don't know if you. I'm even asking out of. I don't even know if you're still with your family there. But is it any different, like for men, when looking for opportunities and thinking about your family, if you'd be near them or not?
Yeah, of course, it's a huge thing. You have your setting, because my family is my safe space. So out here,
I love what you said.
Yeah, out here I am vulnerable because that's my go-to place. When I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I have something. That's where I find the peace. You know. So here I am on my own. I need to figure out so many things. In my case, they're still back home. Due to some situations, it was not possible for us to be here together. But at least at the end of the day, I know why I'm here and I know the reasons for being here. And that's what keeps me going.
Talking about transition into a different country, is there anything that you want to talk about that on this podcast? We just leave it out.
No. I mean, it's usually interesting, especially for someone like me who had never been out of my country. Like this was my very first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think everybody has their own different experience, depending on where they are and the kind of people that they meet. But it's quite interesting to just see how we are all on. I mean, the one thing that we share is the planet, but we have different thinking and way of operations. Yeah, so for me here, I am in Japan. It's a first world country. Guys are super efficient. I think they're really disciplined. Like I think that's what really makes them who they are. It defines them. So you get to see the difference, and honestly, that's a key because there are things that we see we are used to, and then we get to somewhere else and we realize, like, wow, that doesn't even exist in this other world.
Like what?
No, I mean, just the way they do their things, their efficiency, how they are coordinated, their timeliness. Back home, if we decided we are meeting at, let's say, 10, the notion is usually like, tapatana saa sita. Yeah, that's our
after
time.
2 hours.
Yes, exactly. But here, someone tells you 10, they mean 10. And if you come 1 minute after, you want to find them. And I think for them, that's like the height of disrespect if you go late.
Wow.
To any meeting. Yeah. So those things are, they're strange. We're not used to it. Our habits are really deep.
Very strange too. Even for us, you're very strange to other people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are some of the highlights among many other small bits here and there. But at the end of the day, you get to appreciate we are still human. We interact as human beings. We try to understand each other despite the language differences and cultural differences. But with mutual respect and understanding, life still is okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think this is a very good conversation. I liked it. It's just interesting to see.
Yeah.
I think I love talking to strangers. That's something that I really enjoy, and I know it's very weird, but I really enjoy talking to strangers and just knowing the world in their view and seeing what just a snippet of how they've seen the world, their experience. Just interesting to see that. So maybe seriously.
Sorry, network problem.
It's okay. So maybe the last question is there anything that you wanted to put up there that I didn't ask and you'd like to put up there?
I think we've really said so many things, but for me, it's just maybe to encourage, youth. I know that's usually the sensitive topic. is no better way of saying anything, because everyone wants something, at the end of the day. You're either looking for a job, or you want money, or there's something that you want out of your life, because you need to feel that you're contributing to this world in your own ways. Yeah? So for me, it's just to encourage us to, keep the fight, keep grinding hard, because some of the things are difficult to change. There's some things that we really can't be able to quite wrap our fingers around, because I'm in a place where I'm looking at how these guys operate, and I'm like, wow, I don't understand why we can't do these things back home. But it doesn't boil down to one person. It's a community as a whole. Because here, if there's an opportunity, there are equal opportunities to everyone. I think our system also somehow blindsided us partially. I don't know whether that is true. I'm up for correction, but we believe that if we clear school and we don't get a job, then our life stops, But I think we need to get out of that thinking. We need to be able to think probably as if the book doesn't exist. You should be able to realize when it's time for you to strip all the things that you think make you look good or something.
Sorry.
Sorry, there's something is happening. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if we are able to strip all the things that we think make us look better or something, then we can really pay attention to ourselves, and we'll realize probably we can do more than we think we are capable of. And at the same time, I think we can do anything when the circumstances are fit. If you have the right motivation, that pushes you to a whole new dimension that you didn't even know existed. Yeah, so my urge is for us to just push ourselves. Let's just try and do better than we did yesterday. In whatever you do, it doesn't necessarily mean in academics, but in whatever thing that you're doing, like try and do better than yesterday, and that way collectively we will be, contributing towards a bigger picture, something like that. I don't know.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
I don't know, maybe the last thing is, if there's someone who's listening to this and they're going through the same thing you went through, or something similar, or even worse, so I don't know, what would you want to tell them?
One, I think is you don't have the luxury of giving up. That should not exist. Yeah, so just wake up, keep doing whatever you think you need to do. But at the end of the day, keep your eyes focused on the goal, Because all of us have different goals. All of us define success in different ways. For others, it's on monetary aspects. For others, it's probably on the life they live. For others, it's probably through their families. So you need to be able to define what success means to you, and try and seek ways to get there and make a difference, not just for you but for everybody around you. Yeah, try and create an impact in someone's life, because we are human at the end of the day. We are human, and we need to be able to relate and interact as human beings. Yes, so for me to be here today, I've had people holding my hands, and those people have helped me, think the way I think today, and probably they've inculcated that work ethic. And for me, I'm able to keep going every day because I know it has worked for these people, so it can work for me too, and it can work for you. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay. Do you want to start your own podcast? Start with some simple gear that you already have and a quiet space. Simple gear includes a microphone, editing software, and host of your podcast. Simple microphones include the ones on your phones and computers, or a simple recorder, which you can upgrade later. For the editing software, I use Audacity, which is free and simple to use. Buzzsprout, which over 1,000 other fellow podcasters like me use, is one of the podcast hosting providers you can use. Buzzsprout has helped me link my show on every major podcast platform. With the endless number and regularly updated tutorials and good customer service support Buzzsprout offers, my podcasting journey has been made easy. Following the link in the show notes, let Buzzsprout know we sent you, gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and helps support our show.